All right, so I am here with my good friend Cory Boatright, and we're going to talk about Cory's worst deal ever. Cory, tell me about it. What happened?
So it's interesting because we were just talking about this on the worst deal. You always think about like the best deals, but this worst deal wasn't the fact that I lost money. It was more or less the fact that I lost potential profit that was just right there at your fingertips. And it was like, you know, if you ever been in one of those machines where the money's just blowing, right? And you're trying to grab and you're like 100 or 50 or what, and like you just don't, and then another one blows up. So in this case, it was like I grabbed all of it and I had it, right? And then like this big thing came and I let go of this to grab that, and then I just lost all of it.
You lost all of it.
So what happened was, this is a house in Oklahoma City, is a South Side house.
Okay.
And I know this might sound strange for some folks. They're like, what you just said was like a high dinner in LA. But I bought a house for $12,000. And
wow.
I said I bought it. I put a contract on the property to buy it for $12,000.
Okay.
It was in an area called the South Side of Oklahoma City. And in the South Side of Oklahoma City, there was an area where a lot of folks pay cash for properties. A lot of Hispanic community there. It's awesome. And they buy a lot of times houses that they don't like to have financing. So they'll come in and buy these properties cash. We've sold many properties under $50,000 to a big part of the Hispanic community, which is awesome for them because they don't get a chance. They don't have to finance it. And they have that kind of cash, tend to have that cash to be able to do it. So we had this property we actually got from a guy that wasn't Hispanic. And I think the marketing came in from a postcard. It came in from a postcard. And it was, I want to say it was because he was behind on taxes. I believe it was behind on taxes. So anyway, we have a property that was interesting property. He was living in the property, an older gentleman, but he also had a renter living in this little, it almost was like a shed, not kidding, but it was still 500 square feet. But it was like a shed that was made into another unit, Ken. So they were renting that out for like $300 a month. Then he had a lot of dilapidated garage that looked like it was just like going to fall down. I remember like getting close to this thing and feeling like if the wind blew a certain way, like I might get injured, right? So I stayed away from that. But I remember just seeing all this and thinking, wow. And there's a lot of junk, and the grass was super high. And then I think there was like an old motorcycle, like just laying down on the grass, and probably, these archaic versions of lawnmowers, like were just rusted and like they should have been something on a show. Certainly probably worth money in a pawn shop.
That's
but
right.
So like just a bunch of trash and debris in the yard, right? And you just, painting a picture, and the roof had like 3 layers of shingles on it. And not even the last layer was like a white, like it was just like a white layer.
Nothing left.
And there was like a tarp on one side of the house too. I remember that too. And I think that was because they had a leak. And so they literally just put a tarp over the leak. And it was a porch. That's actually what it was a framed in porch. So they framed in the porch, but it started leaking. And then they put a tarp over that. And they had the washer and dryer out there in the porch area.
Of course they did.
So, of course they did. So,
where else would you put your
where else, right? It makes perfect sense. So we have a contract to buy for $12,000. I knew immediately that this was an area that I could sell this property for probably $35,000. So I thought, wow, this is going to be a home run. I'm buying it for 12 and sell for $35,000. Ken, I got an offer from a text on a guy that I knew that knew that area immediately. I told him I had the house. He knew exactly where it was. He went over there. He didn't even go in the house. He said, I'll buy it from you for $50,000 cash.
Dang.
All right. So now we're looking at a $38,000 potential profit, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about this. I'm like, man, you got it. Like, I'm not going to send this out. You got it. It's yours. Right. So we signed a contract. I told him I need $2,500 to make sure he's serious. He gave me $2,500 commitment. So we're in it. We're in it to win it. Right. No inspection, by the way. Just, hey, from a text. I know it. Went over there, looked at it. He didn't go inside. He just like, he didn't care because he saw the little unit. He knew that was being rented. He knew the area. So I thought, man, this is gonna be a home run. All right, so this guy, the owner of the property, didn't let us know that like 2 weeks prior, the city visited him and told him that the property, one, was going to be sold on county taxes. So it was over 3 years of taxes that would back. And so that following June, it was actually going to be sold on taxes. So in Oklahoma, it's 3 years, and that back taxes, and then you can actually go and you can try to redeem it after that. I think there's like a year period of redemption, but he was actually going to lose property. But then what they didn't say is that they were also issuing a demo of the garage.
Oh, the garage.
And also had mowing liens that they've mowed over the years, and he's never paid the liens. Oh, and so, I mean, literally these mowing liens were stacking up. So when we did title, we send in on title, we didn't know that this had this demolition for the garage, that little area I was telling you about that looked scary.
Yeah.
So, and when we want to find out how much that they were going to charge against it, the city actually wouldn't let us know of what this demolition was going to cost. Right. So I was like, well, how do I know? Like, is it going to be $10,000? Is it going to be, because the city is going to charge a premium of whatever it's going to be to do something with the contractor. They're going to charge a premium. They don't go bid a bunch of projects. Like, they're going to charge a high dollar amount.
And you can't just demolish it yourself?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. He had an option to demolish it himself because he's an older gentleman. He didn't do it. They gave them plenty of times to demolish this himself. Okay. Plenty of notice.
Yeah.
But he just basically he just disregarded it.
Yeah.
So now we got these clouds essentially that have to be cleaned up on title. On top of this, because the property was such in a dilapidated state that he was supposed to I guess fix up the property, and there's open to the elements on one side of the house and stuff. They actually condemned the little unit that was being rented out by a person for $300 a month.
Oh no!
That person that was renting it out for $300 a month, that person was a truck driver, and so they were only in that unit for they were only there like maybe 10 days a month or something like that. So they're never there ever. Yeah. And it was like a small little thing. So there was like a notice that was put on that we didn't know. Again, when you put a contract on, you kind of go away, you sell it. You're waiting on title. You don't go back over and visit the property. So once we found out from the buyer that actually drove by and said there's notices on that other unit, we found out that was being condemned. The city was going to condemn this little area. So we're like, oh my God, what do we need to do to fix that? So that was another thing that was going to be, just basically everything we heard was going to be taking off of our bottom line.
Sure.
Profit. So on top of all of this, the owner of the property, as we get closer to going to closing, I'm just basically telling myself, well, I'm probably going to have to eat 10 grand on this deal. Like I'm probably just going to have to take it off my profit and just pay it. No. As we get closer to closing, the owner goes into the hospital.
Oh no. Oh geez.
So the owner goes into the hospital. He is the single only person on deed. No one, he's the only guy that owns this property. He doesn't owe anything on it. I think it was some inherited to him. But he goes into the hospital and he stays there for over a month.
Oh jeez.
For over a month. Okay. In the meantime, I cannot do anything. I ask if I can I pay for something? Can I go demo? I mean, I actually got to a place where it's like, I could go demo this myself and just see what the city says about it. But no, I couldn't do anything. So I was just waiting in limbo, trying to get this deal done and hoping that the owner would come out in a week. Then it went to 2 weeks and 3 weeks. He was in there for over a month. Okay.
Oh, geez.
The city came and demoed the garage. The garage, I remember it was like $7,500 to demo the garage.
Okay.
Right. The property that they condemned, the little apartment unit that they condemned, they wouldn't allow that property to be rented out unless it was brought up to code.
Yep. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me.
And I'm telling you, if this thing there's nowhere near what this thing should have been on code.
Yeah.
So that was going to be over $10,000.
Yep.
Just to bring it up to code. And they were also requiring a separate meter for the property as well. So that was $17,500. The mowing liens, right? You would think a couple $100 or whatever. The mowing liens were over $2,000
for your dang grass. That's crazy.
Yeah, because they mowed the property and it went down and he never mulched it. So they just laid the grass on top of each other and it just was stacked up. So when they come and mowed again, it took longer, which is more expensive. So it was over $2,000. So we're over 20 grand right now on plus my 12,000. So we're at $32,000. I'm like, geez, I mean, that's now. Okay. So at least I have $18,000. That's still really, really good. You would think, right?
Right.
Oh no. Guess how much taxes, taxes were?
3 years of taxes. How much?
3 years of back taxes. Believe it or not, the property, even though I had a contract for $12,000 in the state of Oklahoma, the county assessor on this property had it at $80,000.
Oh no.
$80,000.
So what were the taxes on it?
So the taxes every year, the taxes on this property were around $2,500.
Dang. For a little dumper house in the south side of town, $2,500. That's expensive, man.
Well, it was like 1.5%, and then I had to also pay because the person came in and they redeemed the taxes.
Oh, okay.
All of that back plus the interest. That's what
I got you. Yes.
So I had to pay. So long story, that was another $7,500.
Dude. Yep.
Right. And so I'm like, I'm not even making 10 grand on this property. Right.
Yep.
So I get to this place. I'm like, so this thing is going to cost me $7,500 or whatever. On top of this, I mean, I was going to make, okay, so I'm still going to make 10 grand. So I'm like, okay, there's a lot of money I just lost, but I'll still make 10 grand, right?
Yeah.
No. The abstract in state of Oklahoma, we are actually an abstract state.
Okay.
Right? In the state of Oklahoma, meaning that we have to get the abstract, the original time that from the dawn of time that anything's been done on this property. And it's a book like this. Ken, it's like, and we're only a few states in the country that have this. And physical abstract. It's a book. It's a physical abstract. I mean, it's a big thing, right?
For every closing?
The history of the house, the history of dawn of this house.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Right? So the abstract was bad. They couldn't find the abstract.
Okay.
So we have to build a new abstract.
How do you go back if the records aren't there? I don't know how you go back and build an abstract.
They go back and they have to build it. They do have records, but they have to go in the title and they have to build it. Usually the owner, I know this sounds crazy, but the owners actually bring their abstract to them at closing.
No way. That's so interesting.
It's crazy, man. Or they have them stored at a title company.
Yeah.
In this case, it wasn't. So we had to build a new abstract, right? And then lastly, on top of it, there was one other thing, and it was, I think the guy had a judgment against him that was against the property, which should have been picked up on the title report. But when on the title report, you don't get to see anything that is on the history of the house. You only get to see from the owner of the property on the title report. So in the history of the house, there was a cloud on title that we had to clear up. So long story, we couldn't close on this property. We couldn't close on the property. And so I lost. And on top of this, it was like a 90-day process of all this stuff going on, right? And so that was my worst deal when I think about it, because it was headache. It was, a lot of cash that was coming in, but I just lost it at the end. It was just like money went through my hand. It was like, what else is going to happen?
Yeah. That's hilarious. 90 days. I've been
there,
man.
And I actually found out the property did go to sheriff's sale, or it did go to a tax sale. And the guy actually bought it from tax from the sheriff.
The guy that you had the contract with?
I had.
Okay. Well, so there's sort of a happy ending. The guy who ultimately wanted to live in it is living in it. Unfortunately, Cory Boatright did not get paid on this deal.
I did not get paid a single penny, and I had it under contract for $12,000, and I had it sold
for $50,000.
Poor guy that was going to bring cash for $50,000.
Lesson learned is never count your chickens, man. Right?
Well,
so you are at the closing table with money.
Have you been visited by the county?
Or that's the other lesson, right?
Or for any reason whatsoever in the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, have you ever had any liens, anything against the property? If you see a dilapidated property, there's a pretty good chance that person is not responsible.
And call code enforcement.
Call code enforcement.
Figure out what's out there, man.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, lesson learned. Ask title if they have abstract. Of course, you probably won't have to worry about that in your state, but just that's a lot of stuff.
Crazy, man. Well, I'll tell you what though, if that's your worst deal, and it wasn't like you didn't lose real dollars, you lost them, hopeful dollars. That's not too bad. I'll be honest, man. I'd still give you high fives if that's your worst deal.
That was my worst deal. Yeah, and that's because I didn't get the money. But yeah, you're right. I ultimately lost out on some marketing, so it wasn't all that bad.
The deal that never happened. Cory, this was good, man. I appreciate it, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
We should call this the deal that got away.
The deal that got away. I like it. That's good.
All right, man.
Talk to you later.
Appreciate you.
See you, man. Thanks so much for watching Real Estate Horror Stories. Be sure to subscribe to the Deal Farm channel for more real estate horror stories, and check out our website, dealfarm.net, the absolute best source for real estate leads and data.